G'day, g'day, g'day. It's the Mathematical KM. Remember their initials, not a title. Keith Malumbi. Coming to you with round 3 of the Canberra Chess Club Championship. And for what it's worth, my FIDE's currently 14-17. And my opponent, David, he'll have some sort of a rating soon enough. Not bad. I had the white pieces, he had the black, and currently with standard FIDE rated over the board games, he's 3 out of 5 wins with the black pieces. And he's played more ACF games, Aussie Chess Federation, and can just quickly show you that here's the players in the Canberra Champs. Sorted by rating. In ACF, and there's a bit of a difference between ACF and FIDE, but my ACF is currently 930 and David's is 1140. So that's like 200 points uphill in the Australian Federation ratings. He's yet to get his FIDE one, but no doubt it'll be pretty reasonable when he gets it. Okay, and again, Canberra Chess Club Championship, that's the tournament. We'll go into the game real quick. Thank you for, subscribe, comment, tune in, watch the Year of the Hippo. It's quite interesting that I thought I was going to be playing the Year of the Hippo, playing a hippo, and I believe that David was going for King's Indian. And strangely enough, this comes out, and that actually is the standard first 3 moves in Solomon Riddell, the Chess Giants Hippo course with the white pieces, is what you see there. Starting to look like it's going to be a King's Indian, and that knight does jump out there. It's the Mises opening. And for what it's worth, and I'll leave a link in the description, Solomon has a video on learning to play the Mises opening. But let's go to tonight's game. Quite the arm wrestle. I think that might even be the title. Other than the fact that you got a King's Indian wrestling with a hippo, which is quite the thumbnail. Okay, here we go. We've got the white pieces. And yeah, the Mises opening, still in the book moves. And I'm already, I'm going to have difficulty getting my second fianchettoed bishop there. And black isn't going for the centre directly with his pawns up front, even though I'm not taking it. So it's quite an interesting and slightly different start to a game. He's probably used to seeing his opponent grabbing the centre with his King's Indian plan is based on that. And so it's looking, is that what, Karakani? I'm getting my knights to where they normally travel. Now that knight there, so I could think about playing b3, but before I play b3, let's just go a little bit of prophylaxis, keeping the enemy out of our camp. But he's castled and his knight's out. That's a King's Indian that we're looking at there. Excellent, moving the rook to b1 prior to playing b3. Okay, he's going for the middle now. We play b3. Rook's to the centre, he's playing normal moves. Okay, we're nearly at our, in fact, we've pretty much got the skeleton or the pawn structure for our hippo. We have one knight to move in yet, and one rook's in a slightly different posse, but it's the recommended posse when it's being challenged by a bishop from the other guy. He brings a knight across, and very much you could call this the breather moment. And it's around about move 10, and for what it's worth, I've got 59 minutes left on the clock. He's got 45. We both start at 60. It's plus 30 seconds a move. That's the one thing. I'll give you the odd update on the clock because, vaguely important in this game. Okay, no, it was interesting. It's called an inaccuracy, but I certainly had to think about it. And for now, I mean, I don't think A6 is all that threatening. That knight's not really a big threat. And in general, in Solomon's Hippo course, he's given us you want to go after the central pawn that doesn't have a major piece behind it. Well, they both do. So, what else can we try to achieve? Well, this pawn is protected by a pawn, a queen and a knight, so it's got 3 defenders. This pawn, by contrast, has only got the 1 rook. So if we were going to put some pressure on it, I thought heavily about this knight here. It's almost inviting that pawn to come forward. Then the knight can come out to what could be quite a useful spot and freeing up the diagonal that we want to use. And if he does take the D pawn, he's losing a central pawn, and because we're going to take back with a flank, we'll still have our central pawn. So we're going to swap a flank for a central. That much calculation went through my head. Let's see what happens. So I've played, computer liked it, it was excellent. It does want me to castle soon. Black's still got the space. You'll notice that black's got the edge for now. The predicted pawn forward. Computer like D takes more, but I've played the move I was keen on playing. And the computer didn't realise it was going to be very human for E takes D3, which he's played. And then once I take it back, we've got the 2 central pawns. He doesn't. Equal material, but now you'll notice that it's actually the edge is gone. It's back to even Steven. And we've got in some ways our knight can't go forward yet either, but it's not in a bad place. And also we're opening up the diagonal for our bishop. Equally, it's being opened up for his bishop, but that bishop is a defender of the king. That would be like our light squared bishop. I think that bishop's more important to black than what it is to us. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so he brings his knight back because it wasn't really achieving too much. So I've finally done the excellent safety first. Move 14, safety first. I've castled. And bang is taken, and you'll notice obviously we're going to take back. Bishop takes his best, knight takes his second best. There's not a lot in it. From what I can see, the bishop is going to continue the presence on the diagonal. And we've gone with the best move there. So we've got that little 0.2 edge from getting a better value pawn for the flank pawn. He's brought that bishop in. Now I'm thinking at some stage I would like to go with the e-pawn push. I'm starting to get the queen to where it's protecting this pawn and this pawn, and I've connected the rooks, and it's really just getting ready. And it's also keeping an eye on the knight still. So just developing. That was interesting because my other idea that I was thinking a lot about was if I can get the queen on this diagonal along with the bishop, and I know that his knight's currently protecting the bishop, but if we can shift the knight and that pawn move will do it, then a battery, his dark bishop is only protected by his king. So that's a bit of an attack plan to work on. And also that pawn forward is just a standard hippo move, as well as moving the knight along. It allows this knight to come in. Just in general a good idea. And therefore it's called an inaccuracy. b4 is best, and this is going to go on for a while. The computer is going to continue to want me to attack on the queen side with pawn storm. I attacked on the king side, that's where the king is. So let's see how we go. And this was his best move. And instead of moving the knight that's threatened by the pawn, he instead grabbed the better knight, the knight that was in the middle. Sorry, he grabbed my dark bishop. There goes any thought of batteries coming in towards his king. Now, what am I to take it back with? I don't want to ruin my pawns and give him an open file for his rook. Obviously, the best move by far is, and you can see knight takes is plus 0.1 to me. Anything else takes is pretty much -2 to him. So we obviously played the right move and took back with the knight. Apart from anything else, we're threatening that bishop. He's moved that knight back to be a defender of the king. All of his pawns are on the light square, so I guess that's his worst bishop. And in many ways, I'm guessing that this was perhaps, and this is a pretty strong knight in the middle there. So I can see how f4 at this point, threatening coming in. f4 would have been a really good choice. It was an inaccuracy at the least. And we go to edge to black. So that was a bad decision. But, you know, not the end of the game. So he's got his rook there. Apparently d4 was a mistake, but I was thinking with d4 that I want to lock these pawns as much as I can onto the light squares, thinking about the end game. Having mine all on dark squares and having the correct coloured bishop to hopefully go hunting his pawns should it come down to that later in the piece. Okay, he's brought his queen forward. And now I'm thinking about a pawn push. If I did it now, I've got 2 pieces. He's got 2 pieces, so that's not good enough. b4. Computer's just going to keep on telling us and telling us and telling us it wants those pawns on the queen side moved along. What I was thinking is now I've got rook, bishop and queen, so we're ready to do that push. If we do push, and if he took with the pawn, if I took back, say for example with the bishop, his queen could grab the d pawn. So I would need to take back with the rook, which is another reason to have the rook there. Okay, he's moved his rook out of line. And the computer liked f4, but we're to break up the pawns in front of his king, I'm guessing. But we've gone e4. He's taken it. I've taken back with the rook, which is therefore protecting the d pawn from his queen. He's brought his knight out. Now he's got 2 pieces attacking the pawn. You'll note that technically, not that I can get at it, but that rook is hanging. So I'm thinking very much about if I can get my d4 pawn out of the way, move it forward at the right point in time, might be able to arrange a discovered attack on a hanging knight with a pawn moving forward and threatening something else. It would be a nice tic-tac. It was the best move. We're still at -1 to black. He's brought his knight in, which is a little bit of an inaccuracy. And I'm also thinking about if I can double my rooks up, then I can do something like getting a rook on the 7th, making the queen move, and then if it goes to the 8th, I can go check, and getting 2 rooks for a queen, that can be okay, particularly depending on the situation. So I've done that, and we're up to -0.3, so it's coming back to pretty even. And he I don't even think that was one of his top 3. I was thinking that the knight back here threatening my queen, protected by a pawn, protecting his rook, would have been a reasonable place for a knight to exist as an outpost, and no, I haven't got any pawns that could threaten it. If I moved the rook, I would probably swipe it off with my bishop. So I guess in the end he's just preemptively. And it's interesting, and this is something a tactic for me to look for in the future. I know the king is going to take that knight, but my best move is rook to e7, threatening the queen, making the queen move and then coming in. But not too far behind it is just the king with his own rusty sword, grabbing it. The queen comes down, so now I can't move that rook, it's pinned to the king. And for the next little while, for the next phase of this game, I'm dreaming of if I could get a pair of rooks swiped off and a check coming in from the second rook, if only the queen had a clear path through, mate or even just winning a rook. So that's one of the things we're thinking about. But first we need the freedom to move the rook, so we've moved the king to g1. Apparently, they wanted me to move the queen first. Computer wanted the queens off, and I did think about that. But I've moved the king to g1, so the rook now has freedom. Now this is a funny thing. Rook to e7 is an interesting one, threatening that pawn as the best move. Queen to e3 or queen to c1. Just trying to get it in there. And something that was worth looking at was if I was to move a rook here, his queen can't go there or the rook will get it. Can't go here or the rook will get it. The queen will get it. The queen or a pawn will get it. But it would take the pawn. And probably the best thing I could do would be swap the queens off, but he'd get it. And at the moment, this is kind of endgamey, the material matters. He would get a queen and a pawn for a queen. So that's no good. So it kind of liked it, got it to -0.05. The pawn protects the rook. This rook to here, this rook to there. Will his queen still be trapped by the time I've arranged that? Let's see. Some good defensive manoeuvring. That's going to let his queen step onto a unthreatened square. Computer still like that, minus 0.15. The queen does step back. And we don't want to be checked with a queen infiltrating us. Best move by far is king to g2, played. Starting to see lots of 0.00s and 03s and pretty even, this arm wrestle. So I've stopped him coming in with his queen. What does he do? He's tripled up. But in a way, he's got to go first with his queen, which would be taken by a rook at the moment, so that's not too good. If I can double my rooks up, if I get the check, he takes, check, it gets a pair of rooks off, and the king only avoids mate by coming here. What a shame that pawn would still be there at that point in time, or would it? Let's see, how am I going to try and make some progress here? Double the rooks was the excellent choice. Okay, so that's trying to deny me the hope of pawn forward and covering the diagonal and then going for the back ranker. And it was at this point that my opponent, it's currently 0.00 by the bar, my opponent offered me the draw. And at this time, about the only one, I feel like I've been trying to go forwards, but it could slip very easily. Also, I've got 27 minutes left on the clock to his 10, but I said, while it was still my turn waiting to move, you don't even really need to know this, but I said, give me a tick to think about it. I thought if only I'd done more of Solomon's endgame course, I'd be a bit more confident one way or the other. But failing that, I knew I was playing uphill in the ratings, so getting a couple or a half of a point is money in the bank instead of risking it. So please comment, would you have played on? What plans might you have gone with? It's white to move, but I shook David's hand and we got a half point each for quite the wrestle between the King's Indian and the Waterhorse. Let's just, before we go, have a quick look at the review. That's a pretty flat old graph. And in the highlights, well, I've got to say, got to admit, pretty happy playing in the 90s. Don't even mind that I had 91.1 to David's 91.2. I didn't have any misses or blunders. He had one miss. 24.50 each. 95.9 for opening theory. There you go. Until you look at his 97.6. 88.9, 88.7. So happy with being told I'm playing well in the middle game. And that's it for round 3 of the Canberra Chess Club Championships. And I was on 1. I'll be on 1.5 out of 3 after today. So batting at 50%. And you'll see the next exciting episode in the Canberra one next Thursday night, at least Australian time. So bye for now. Like and subscribe.